Okay, so I am creating a first video for this NeetCode playlist, which is highly good, a curated playlist, and I am doing this just because I was going through this roadmap and I saw that okay, it contains kind of sort of good questions, and I'm sort of following through this, so I said why not make video of this, going through the solution, and I will follow a structure that I'll just first read the question and I will try to solve it with the naive approach, and later on we will build upon it and try to optimize it for the constraints that they have given us. I have done a fair amount of questions here for the first one, but I'll start with this again because I thought, well, if I'm doing this, why not just upload the NeetCode roadmap, all of it. So I'll use Python, of course. And well, for what I do, I am currently jobless, and I am a postgraduate master's in data science, and I graduated last year. Although I'm working as a teaching assistant and a voluntary research assistant for the university, but that is sort of unpaid. So yeah, I'm kind of learning, but just no money in it, but never mind. So let's begin. And the first question is, it contains duplicate, and this is an array question, and we have been given an array called nums, and if the array contains duplicates, in the first example, as you can see, we have 1, 2, and 3 and 3. So we have to check if the array contains duplicate, we return true. If there is no duplicate, we return false. And the recommended time complexity is we should aim for a solution with O(n) time and O(n) space, where n is the size of the input array. So one of the first naive approach would be to just go across the numbers here, like 1, 2, 3, 3. So when I first did this, when back and very early on, what I did was we can just create a loop here. So let's say, for example, for I in range of length of nums, right? And okay, actually we'll just give it n equals to length of nums, so we don't have to call this function again and again, right? And so I will iterate through the array, like for 1, and what I'll do now here is I will take another variable j, which will be equal to 0 for now, and we'll do is while j is less than no, actually we'll just do this for j in range, let's say I to n. And so in this context, we don't have to use j here. So what we will do here is we will go through, when I is here, we'll get 2, we'll iterate j from I plus 1. So if j will iterate from 2, and then 3, and then 3, and then again we will check with I will be 2, so we'll again check for j equals to from 1 and 3 and 3. And there's a small edge case here we have to check for, is if if we try to check with the same value, we will have to return true. So what I'm talking about is if we do this, if we'll have to do I plus 1 here. If I if nums I equals to nums j, right, we'll just return true, and we'll here return false. So it will, if you run this, should okay, yeah, we'll have to put a colon there. If we run this one, it will always return, okay, where am I going wrong? Yeah, it should be tab. Okay, if I run this, it's always going to, like, in this case, it's giving us false, and it sort of works. So what we are doing here is for the outer loop, the I is here, and for the inner loop, the j is iterating from I plus 1 to n. So j is iterating from 1 I plus 1 will be 1 since I is 0 right now, and 2, and then 3, and then 3. So it's not equal to 1, so if it iterate again through it, so it will go to 2, and then it will check with 3 and 3, again it will return nothing. And after 1, when I will become 3, and we'll check for j equals to I plus 1, and it is equals to nums I, so we will return true. And if the whole iteration is complete, we return false. So for test cases, it is working, and let's see if after submitting it, it works or not. And so it is accepted. So I think they haven't added an edge case where if the 3 is at the first side, like for example, if I put in a test case, let's create a test case. If I put in 3 here and remove it from here, hopefully, yeah, it should work. Yeah, it will work. So it kind of solves all the cases. I was thinking if we keep the 3 here, but anyways, it is going to iterate through all of them one by one. So yeah, that will sort of work. All right, so this is O of n squared. And since we are iterating through, this will be O of n, this will be O of n, and this will also run for O of n time since we are iterating all the values. And this will be O of n squared since inner and the outer one, we will multiply them, so we will get O of n squared. Now, the recommended time what we are given is to use O of n space. And when I did it for the next time, I thought that, okay, what we can do here is we can import a library. So from iter tools, import counter. So what counter does is it will just give us a dictionary of counted variables which are inside the list. So what I'm trying to tell here is, so we create a counter object and we send in an iterable into it, in this case nums. So counter accepts an iterable always, and we have a C here. So if I'll just print C, and let's just return an empty list for now, not return false for now, although obviously we'll get wrong answer, but that's okay. Cannot import counter from iter tools. That's weird. Where is counter? From import counter in Python. Well, that's weird. It is in iter tools. If I it's from collections. Okay, sorry. Collections import counter, and let's run this. Yeah, so here we have gotten is 3 is 2 times and 2 is 1 time. So in the dictionary, 3 is the key here, the value present in nums, and 2 is the amount of times it is present. So it is basically counting each and every value, how many times it is. And this is really easy. So in this one, we'll just go through for, let's say, k comma v in c.items. So items will return us key and the value. So if if k's v is greater than 1, we return true. So it does contain duplicate. Else we return false. So here what we are checking is if the key's value, let me make it more clear, value and key, okay, value. So if the key is value, and in this case the first item will be 3, and when 3's value, which is 2, it is greater than 1, so we'll return true in this case because it is duplicate value. And if this was 2, we would continue for the next iteration, and I think this should work. Let's see. Okay, we got a wrong answer, and here is, okay, let's see what's the problem. If key's value greater than 1, return true, return false. Oh yeah, I'm really sorry for that. C's key. So C is the dictionary here, and key is the value here. So let's just submit it this, and yeah, this also got accepted. But this is using O of n space here, and we're iterating through all of them, so again the runtime is O of n as well. And so yeah, this is sort of a Python intuitive solution to the problem. Although there is one more approach by which we can solve this question, which we will discuss now. So let's see if what I'm thinking works. I have not done this earlier on, this what I'm trying to see, but let's see. So what we do is we create a dict, and let's say we make it count, and we create an empty dict, right? And we iterate through all the values. So for num and nums, which will iterate through all of the values here, right? And if num not in count, that means the value is not present yet, what we will do is count num equals to, let's say, +1 equals to plus equals 1. So this way we will get is if this is in the scene, so actually we'll just make it true, so this will account to as the value is seen, the value is already present in the dictionary, and else if else return false, and else let's see, so if the count is, if nums is not in count, we return it as true, but so we save the value as true, so that means that it has been previously seen, it is present there. And if num in count, so this will check here that if the number is already present in the count, that means that value is there in the dictionary, which means we passed along with it when we were iterating through the array, so we'll just return true. That means the value is present. And if nothing is there, we'll just return false. That means if this return true statement doesn't execute, that means none of the values are duplicates. All of the values are only present once, and this will return false. So let's see. Let's run first test cases. Hopefully should, yeah, so it return true, and this thing return false. And let's submit this, see if it works. Yeah, so this got accepted as well. Now the difference between the previous counter one which we used and this one is there is a chance that this may work more better, because we, as soon as we came across a duplicate value, we are instantly returning from the function, and we're not checking any more values after that. So in that sense, it kind of saves a bit of time and a bit of space, since if we came across the duplicated value, which is here, which is true, that means we already passed through it in the previous iteration. So we just return true from the function because it's already present. That means this is a duplicate, and if the whole iteration is complete and there's no duplicate value, we return false. So the worst case is obviously O of n. We will iterate through all of the values to check, and the best case is O of 1 here, because if the first value and the second value is the same, so just in the first iteration it's done. The loop will run only 2 times, so that is like a constant runtime. But anyways, so this is how we can we can solve this question. So I showed you like 3 ways to solve it, and hopefully it gave you a better idea of how I approach questions. I first try to solve them using naive approach, completely naive, as in whatever is going through my mind, I just write it, and after that I go through the time complexity and stuff, and we go through the hints. You can see a brute force solution would be check every element against the every element O(n square, which I showed earlier. The second hint is there a way to check without comparing it to other element? Maybe there's a data structure that is useful here, which is the dictionary, and which is exactly what we did in this one. And we can use a hash data structure like a hash set or map to store elements we've already seen. This allows us to check if an element is duplicated in constant time. So this is exactly what we have done here. Now this thing, I didn't do it earlier on. This is for the first time I implemented this. I just, after using counter, I just leave it. But anyways, so yeah, that's how you solve the first question. And I am hoping to add more videos in this playlist. I'm not sure. Probably this would be the first and the last video I'll ever post in this playlist. But anyways, let's see how this goes. And thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.